Okay, so if I were to ask you guys how to create a class, would you guys feel comfortable doing that? Thumbs up or thumbs down? If I told you to make a constructor for that class, could you do it? If I asked you to explain global variables, could you do it? If I asked you what initialized global variables, could you tell me what does? What does?
Constructor.
A constructor, okay? How many of you guys know what a default constructor is? How many of you would be able to write a method if I asked you? How many of you would be able to overload a method? Okay. How many of you would be able to tell me what the extends keyword does? Great. Okay. How many of you understand the rule of super with constructors? Just in terms of, when I say terms of constructors, I mean like constructors as in like for a super class that has a constructor that takes a parameter. Do you feel that you could follow those rules? Okay, very good. So we've done a lot of majority of the stuff that we needed to do when it comes to constructors and classes and stuff like that, okay? And inheritance. But right now we're moving on to two of the last things that we have for this semester, okay? And today's one is going to be very easy, okay? It's one of the easiest ones. Now, I've told you before that on the AP, on occasion, what they'll do is they'll ask you create a class or create an interface. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating interfaces. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen. Okay. And I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to call this Inter B or Inter C. And I'm going to hit finish. All right. So don't create. Thank you. All right. So now important thing. Okay. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to create a new class. Okay. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it bank ACCT. Okay. Bank account. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on Inter C and I'm going to say new interface. Interface is right below class. I'm going to choose interface and I'm going to call this one bank. And I'm going to hit finish. Okay. So now I have an interface and I have a class. All right. Okay. Who here can drive? Raise your hand. All right. Okay. Let's see. Ashton. Okay. Ashton, what kind of car do you drive?
A truck.
Okay. Is it an automatic or manual?
Auto.
Okay. So let's say I had to put you in a Honda Civic. Could you drive that car?
Yeah, kind of
Okay.
how to drive.
Okay. Who else can drive? Okay, Kennedy, what kind of car do you drive?
A Mini.
Okay. If I were to take you and put you in a Escalade, do you think you could drive that car?
Probably with some practice, yeah.
Okay. Now, here's the reason why. For the majority, probably, yeah, I'm pretty sure, yeah. And the reason why is because you have a familiarity. And you have a familiarity with the interface of an automatic vehicle. Most cars have a P, which stands for what? Park. Okay. An N, which stands for
neutral,
R, which stands for
reverse,
and D for
drive,
they also have a gas pedal and a brake pedal. And what else do they have?
brake,
Steering wheel.
Steering wheel. Okay. The interface for the most part is the same. So what happens is if you go into another car or you're test driving all these vehicles, the interfaces for the most part are all the same. Now, one person drives a truck, one person drives a Mini. What they have done is they have designed around the interface. So Kennedy's got a small car. Ashton's got an overly large car. Okay. So I've got a medium-sized car. Okay. What the key thing that matters is that they interfaces are the same. Okay. A 747 pilot can fly a Qantas Airbus. A Qantas Airbus is literally almost 2.5 times the size of a 747. Okay. But the reason they're able to do it is because of the similar interface. And you got to look at it like this, guys. An interface is basically a set of rules. You can use my standard, okay? But in order to use, and you can build around it, but if you're going to build around me, you need to use me, okay? So for example, look at it this way. A car, when you're creating a car, it inherits the automatic interface. Okay, the automatic interface has rules for park, drive, reverse, and neutral. You have to create, if you're going to use them, you have to then set your car how it's going to use the park, how it's going to use the drive, how it's going to activate the neutral, how it's going to activate the reverse, et cetera, et cetera. That's how interfaces are. Okay, but the great thing is interfaces are really, really easy. In a bank, who can tell me? So we're going to go to our interface right here. Okay, in a bank. Okay, somebody tell me something that you can do in a bank.
Withdraw money.
Okay, so Vasily, withdraw. Okay. Okay, now what do you think we got a return type? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, what type?
Double.
Okay, so public double, withdraw, and will we have a parameter?
Yeah, the amount.
Okay, double empty. Okay, that's it. In an interface, that is all you are allowed to do. Who can tell me another thing that if we can withdraw, what else can we do?
Deposit.
Okay, public return type, yes or no? Do we need one?
No.
Okay, so we'll say void and we'll say deposit. Do we need a parameter?
Yeah.
Double AMT. Okay, bingo. That is all I am allowed to do in an interface. Can we use variables? Yes, we can. So I can say string name. Okay, but in an interface, variables must be initialized. However, we will not use the only time we would use a variable is, let's say, for example, we have a fixed interest rate that we know will never change as long as you're using this interest rate, then you would use that interface. Okay, you would put it in there because a lot of times you would need to make it final. Okay, but we are not dealing with variables. Interfaces for the AP and for the most part in the real world in programming only use methods. Notice that I don't have this. Okay, don't have that. Okay, only methods. Because basically what we're going to say is we're going to have bank account. Bank account is going to use the bank interface. Okay. And when it does that, the minute it does it, we basically, it's in order to use it, we have to then fill these out. These are almost, look at it like this way. If I implement, these are mandatory methods that need to be in this account or in this class if we use this interface. So how do we implement an interface? Implements bank. You'll notice right away that you will get an error. And the reason why is because of this. There are methods in here. Whenever you implement an interface, you need to use these methods. You need to finish. Basically what they've done is they said, hey, you're going to need to use these. You tailor them to the way that you want to use them, but you do need to. For example, if you're opening a bank, you're going to have customers, they need to be able to withdraw and deposit. You decide how they're going to do it, but you need to have these too. Okay, does that make sense? They're like the mandatory rules. So Python kind of, or I'm sorry, Eclipse kind of allows you to cheat a little bit. I can put my mouse over this and I can put add unimplemented methods. And it will just do all of them for me. Okay. Don't do that. Obviously, you know, you're not going to get the chance to do that, but let me go this back. Okay, boom. And I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to get rid of this. All right. So, okay. Now take a look. I'm returning 0. It returns a double. Is that technically legal? This is void. All I needed to do was literally open this. Is that technically legal? So on the AP a few years ago, I think it's 2014, there was one, literally, if you just knew how to do this from the interface, you got 1.5 points. You got the other point for actually filling in the junk, but you literally got a, so if you knew nothing else but how to do this and do the method names, you got at least half the points. Okay, that's why you want to pray for a class or an interface because it's so much easier. All right, but here's the other thing you have to understand. There's still rules. So I can say double balance string name. Let me make both of these private. Okay, and then I can say public bank ACCT int x string y balance equals x string equals y. Okay. Oops, sorry, name. Okay, there we go. Notice now it's just a regular class. Public double get balance. Return balance. Okay. It is a regular class. Okay. So this is all. So this is basically what it is. Okay. When you implement an interface, all you are doing is you are pulling over the set of rules, the set of reminders of something that you would need in order to make this class. Okay. Now, something else. Okay. A little side note. What I'm going to do right now is this. Let me make this a little, okay, perfect. Let me just drag this over a bit. Okay. And I'm going to get rid of this. Interface bank getters. Okay. And what I'm going to say is public double get balance. Public double get name. Okay. With interfaces, you can implement more than one. So I will implement bank, comma, bank getters. Now, this isn't typical. Okay, this is not typical of doing this. Okay, most of the time, everything would just be put in one. This is just more an example to show you. Okay, so what is happening? Okay, it's telling me I have an error. I need to add another method. Okay, what method am I missing? This one. Okay, so I'm going to copy it. I fill it out. Return name. Done. Okay. This dot. Why is this?
I think it's because we have a
Oh,
double.
whoops, public string, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, public string. Ah, that's why. Sorry about that. There we go. Now it should be good. Okay, there we go. Right, so, okay. All I had to do was fill this one out. I already had this one, okay, but luckily it was in here, all right? Now, basically what I've done is I cannot finish creating my class without making these 4 mandatory methods. They need to be filled out. And an interface is basically they are just giving you the signature. Now, here's some common mistakes that I see. Okay, this is a common mistake. I'll see somebody say public, so interface bank getters, public double get balance. This is the most common one. Don't do that. You will do that for something else, not this. Don't do that. Okay. So public double get balance. The other thing is a lot of people would just assume, oh, well, if get balance, I've got to have a balance. I've got to have a balance variable in here. Okay. Again, remember, there are no variables in the interfaces that we are working with. Okay. It should be public too. Whoops. All right. So, okay. There are no variables. All right. So rule number 1, method signatures only. Rule number 2, okay, no variables. Rule number 3, the implements keyword. Okay, implements is how we do it. And rule number 4, I cannot make an object out of an interface. I cannot make an object out of an interface. Best believe I'm going to go after you on that. I will throw in a whole bunch and try to throw you off. Okay? I cannot make an object out of an interface. Okay? Now, you may see this, okay? For example, you may see something like this. I'm going to create a tester class. You may see something like this. Bank X equals new bank ACCT. Okay, that is completely legal. We are not dealing with this right now. This is polymorphism. Okay, we are not dealing with polymorphism right now. What you need to understand is this is legal. Anytime you see the interface name on the right-hand side, it is illegal. We will get into this more later. This is more just like one of those things telling you, okay, all right, I see what you're talking about, et cetera, okay? All right, so that being said, okay, interfaces, again, they're just mandatory rules, okay? Just mandatory things that you need to put in. They are called upon using the implements, okay? If you inherit a class, so let's say let's get rid of this. Class corp account extends, okay? Now, don't worry about the implements, okay? Do not worry about that because they will all be taken care of in here, which means you will inherit them completed and taken care of, all right? Could I do this? Could I get rid of it? Like, could I get rid of these? Could I get rid of these and then extend bank account and implement, extends bank account, implements bank? Yeah, I could do that. Okay, the first thing I would have to do is I'd have to put those and then I'd have to say public what was my constructor? Intex double Y. Boom. Class is complete. Okay.
Mr. Marty,
Yes.
if you inherit the implementation, why would you put the implements bank again?
What does it show? So, or sorry, bank getters. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's when you would do. Okay, sorry about that. I meant to say bank getters. Okay, now obviously we have a little bit of an issue here. Why is that? Why would this not work?
Is balance and name on private?
Exactly, and we've implemented the getters in the extended class where we're trying to get direct access. So this is, while a good example of showing you not what to do or what not to do, it's also kind of like a, you know, bad example, but okay, but it's just showing you that you can implement in an inherited class as well. Notice that I used both keywords here, and we'll get into that later, okay? You can extend and you can implement. We'll get into that day after tomorrow, after I go over abstract classes, okay? But for the most part, this is what we're looking at, okay? Implementation. If I want to implement both, okay? If I want to do both, then I just hit comma. And bank getters. And again, the other thing is, oops, hold on one second. All right. The other thing is that you can implement as many interfaces as you want to. Okay. So anybody have any questions in regards to interfaces? You can see interfaces, most people like interfaces because they're actually kind of easy to catch on to. How many of you would agree? They're pretty easy, understanding that you don't really have to do anything in here. Okay, makes it a lot easier. Okay, so if I told you guys to write an interface, to create an interface, do you feel comfortable that you could write an interface? So again, rule number 1, right? Method signatures only. Okay, not even this. Okay, rule number 2, no variables. Rule number 3, the implements keyword. Okay, that is how we call on it. Rule number 4, you can never make an object out of an interface. You can never make an object out of an interface. Okay, and rule number 5, you can access more than one interface. Okay. You can access more than one interface.
If we had to write the interface for the AP exam, would it also be writing the class or just the interface?
More than likely, good question. More than likely, Kennedy, you will be required, they will give you the interface and you, or what they may do is they may give you a class with the methods, showing the methods being used that are in the interface. And then you'll have to create the interface, which you'll, like one of them is like a sandwich thing. So like you would just have to put public void sandwich. Like they would tell you it returns nothing or something like that. Okay, it's a very, very easy one. All right. And then the next, and then you would have to just do the class, public, whatever, menu, implements, this, et cetera, and then go through and create the class. They know you don't have the time, but most of the, I think in 2014, when that one came up, my students were thrilled. They're like, easiest 9 points ever, easy. So that's why you pray for an interface or a writing the whole class. But more than likely, what I've seen is they will give you the interface, Kennedy, and then you'll just have to fill it out because that's where they'll try to trick you. The method needs to do, so it's more about, but the cool thing is you'll get a point for this. You'll get a point just for doing this. You'll get points for the variables. You'll get points for the constructor. You'll get points for this. You'll get points for this, and you'll get points for that. The stuff inside of it is simple. So Kennedy, probably 6 out of the 9 points will literally be like, okay, I know how to design it. You'll lose the 3 points if you don't know the math or you don't know what they're talking about. But the bright side is you'll get 6 points because you kind of know how to do the structure. So yeah, so there you go. And that Kennedy is like a universal thing. If you see an interface question without even not knowing what they're asking, you can be like, all right, I at least got 6 guaranteed points because I'm gonna get a point for the class name. They're gonna give you some variables. You're gonna get a point for the variables. You're gonna get a point for the constructor, and then again, you don't need to do it. If you just implemented the names and added these, you would get a point. So if you got it, just be like, oh, thank you. So, all right, anybody else? Guys, we got the time. Anybody have any questions? Anybody confused on anything?
What's
Can you
gonna print out?
Scroll down a little bit. I want to see the code. And
Here, let me do this. Better?
Yeah.
Is that okay, Leo? Okay. What was that, Nick?
What's gonna print out? Or what are we gonna be able to do with this?
Right now, nothing's printing out.
Okay.
Got to remember, Nick, that you're not printing out on the AP isn't tested. A return, something that returns is not the same thing as a print statement. They may store that in a string variable. You don't care what's in the tester class. The tester is just there to test to make sure it works. This doesn't print out anything. A super class will never print out anything. Anybody else? All right, I'm gonna get this class up online, get it uploaded, ready to go. What I want you guys to do now is this, okay? Your homework, read chapter 37. Read it, know it. It's a little convoluted. I feel like I compress it a little bit easier, but there's some good examples, okay? And you guys are gonna do the linear function program at the end, okay? And we'll go over the linear function in class tomorrow, okay? So that's already on Portal, okay? And I'm gonna upload this class just in case you need to watch it again, all right? Okay, productive class, good class. Does anybody have any questions regarding it? All right, and for those of you, again, who have not finished your quiz, okay, or the 24, the thing, you have till tonight, so get it done, okay? All right, guys, good class today. Take care.